Don't be worried about that several decades thing, because your hair is just as bouncy as ever. And your eyes are still just as mesmerizing. All of you guys are so gorgeous. You really are. Hi, Sam. Just like Starbuck, I would have fracked all of you too. My mind is a little bit twisted, no surprise there, but I'm a fan of Scott Pilgrim, so keep that in mind when I ask this question. Every time you two squared off in some really serious scenes, I just had this image of, like new Apollo and old versus old Apollo, original Apollo, they square off into a match. Yeah. I was just wondering if you guys ever had any laugh out loud moments in those scenes because of that.
No, but you know something? I'm curious. I think there's got to be some kind of underlying competitiveness, that goes on when, you're getting together and you're playing a similar role. And I think on some level, what I perceived, really, I felt like it pushed us to do better work. I really think I love doing scenes with you. And I always felt like there was this, and it actually created a chemistry, which I thought really worked well on the show.
But you're right, there was a, you fight your corner sort of thing.
Right.
Acting is collaborative, but it is also competitive. There is a thing where you're desperately trying to hold up your end of the bargain, and obviously I had a harder task than you because you were already a legend. And my character was, I had lots of. I'd seen Richard's performance, and I grew up with it, and everyone was familiar with it, and I had to try and do my own thing, and so it was scary. It was scary. I was scared.
See, the funny part is that we're as actors, we're very critical of our own work, right? So, other than a few moments here and there, really in the original Baltar, I wasn't happy with my performance, with what I was doing. And I was far more, to be on this Baltar with everybody, that raised my game. That really challenged me to do my best work because of the level of the writing, the directing, and the quality of the actors, and everything you were doing. Every day when I came, I don't know about you, but man, I was up all night, truly putting every ounce of everything I knew and have into each and every scene, And for me, the payoff was, I had the best time of my life as an actor. That was one of the most incredibly magical, powerful acting experiences of my life. But I do want to say, for all of you, that I think he did an amazing job as Apollo.
But to answer your question, no laugh out loud moments. It was very serious.
This side.
My question's for James. The character of Gaius is a pretty self-centered and narcissistic sort of person who always finds himself or voluntarily puts himself in inherently public-serving, philanthropic sort of positions like as a scientist or a politician or a religious leader. Is that, what's the motivation for that? Is that something that he sees as an opportunity to capitalize on, or is there a genuine desire to serve the greater good somewhere?
I don't think that there ever really was a greater desire for, like, when he was talking about what we should do for the people on the fleet, he really was, the most self-centered person in that universe and in his own universe. Everything that he would suggest, like, the people really want to go down on the planet. That really means I want to go down on the planet, and I'm just using these people as an excuse. It reminds me, just to tell a funny story once, I was making a film, and the first AD, who was actually Australian, came up and he went, "Now listen, I don't actually care, but a lot of people are very upset that there was no apple crumble at lunch." I think you do care. It's in that sense of just like, well, you people, you know, I don't have an opinion, but they're very, very upset about the apple crumble. So yeah, he constantly would use other people as like a vaulting horse for his own ambition, and he never really. This is the other thing. He was a scientist. He's way smarter than I could ever be, and that's one of the things that propelled him all the way through. Was like, you know, being a scientist allows him to show everybody how smart he is, which then fuels his own vanity more. Being the president and whatever for that moment when he was again, you know, a self-perpetuating vanity, using the people of the fleet and this religion and everything to a certain extent, because he did have a kind of Paul on the road to Damascus experience. There was a kind of Damascene moment. I think actually it's after Gaius was like beaten up in the corridor and you were there, and that he has that speech about, you know, everybody is, you've got to love yourself first. If you don't love yourself, how can anybody love you? And I felt at that moment he had understood something. But yes, it all, unfortunately, for just the most, a real self-serving douche.
This side.
This question is for Jamie and James, and I was just curious if you were both at the London Academy of Dramatic Arts at the same time. It seems like it was around the same time in the 90s, and if you knew each other from back then and had any crazy theater school stories.
We weren't at the same time. James preceded me, and his reputation preceded me. But I went to see James in, you know, Tom introduced him in the Bob Hoskins thing. LAMDA was giving out like free tickets. Well, not free tickets, I think I paid 10 quid. To come and see James in these old Wicked songs, and James was one of their favorite star pupils, and I went to see his two-hander with Bob Hoskins, and was completely starstruck. I thought he was brilliant, and I still do. And then once that had happened. Because James had left LAMDA early because he got a gig, which is something that drama school will never forgive you for working. They hate that. They really hate you leaving to work because they never got to. Sorry. But LAMDA's a wonderful, wonderful place. We were lucky actually. We went to a touchy-feely drama school rather than a sort of scary one.
It was such fun, drama school. I just remember it really as like, people like, did you learn Shakespeare? Did you do all this stuff? I just remember people in the back room with the mirror going, where's the glitter? Where's the glitter? Where's the mascara? Jazz. It was so much fun. And actually as well, Speed 2 had come out, or Speed 1, and like everybody was obsessed with Keanu Reeves. So you'd be doing a Shakespeare play and forsooth me what, whatever, and backstage everybody would be like, you got a hair trigger pointed at you. running on stage. But Jamie and I actually worked with each other briefly years before.
We shared a hotel lobby is what we did.
Well, we passed each other. We were both playing
Scarlett
young men who died in an episode of Scarlett Pimpernel. So like Jamie died in the episode before me and I died in the one after him.
I had 6 lines, he had 600.
No, that's not true.
That's true.
So we did know each other from before, but obviously became a lot more friendly when we were doing this show.
Yeah, well, it was weird because I actually didn't know James was playing Baltar until I showed up in Vancouver, and I remember the costume lady told me, and I was like, what? Baltar? Because I didn't, I had a preconceived idea of what the character would be, and it wasn't James, or anybody of my sort of age bracket. You know, it really wasn't. And I don't think it was Ron's. I don't think it was anybody's. And yeah, I've heard Ron say this many times, but the one revelation that he had in terms of an actor's performance changing the way a role, a character was, you know, was James and his sense of humor, which humanized Baltar so much. Then I remember I was in the gym feverishly working out because I'd had this dictatum from the top that I had to look like a, you know, Marine or whatever, and I was in the gym feverishly doing what I feverishly do, and James walked in. I was like, "Hi."
I remember that moment. It was kind of sort of.
What the fuck are you doing?
I'll tell you what's strange as well is that I didn't want to play Baltar at all. That's possibly actually how that helped me get the job and take the edge off it. I really wanted to be, Apollo or Starbuck, and then Starbuck was a girl. I wanted to run around in the suit and everything like that. Like, no, not you. No, I'm not doing anything like that.